A few days ago, we talked about the best 2-star gems for PvE, and today we are going to do the same for PvP. Some of the gems we mentioned in the PvE video will also be included in this one, as they perform really well in PvP too. However, I want to start with the gems that are specific to PvP. When I think of 2-star gems for PvP, the first one comes to my mind is Klingslinger. This gem is really good, especially for melee classes because it gets triggered when you are attacked, and it doesn't have a big range. So, I only recommend this gem for melee classes, and necromancers can use it as well depending on your playstyle. When you are attacked, there is a 15% chance to release a burst of light that blinds all nearby enemies, and blinds works like short stuns, so it can be effective in the middle of the fights. On top of that, if you have Chip of the Stone Flesh gem, Klingslinger triggers it. These two works really well together. Next one on the list is the Abiding Curse. I think this is very underrated. At rank 10, your attacks have a 15% chance to curse enemies, reducing their attack and movement speeds by 35% for 8 seconds. Cursed enemies also take 10% increased damage from your attacks. This is a really strong debuff to apply on enemies, especially if you are playing with high attack speed or with damage over time builds. That way it will be easier to trigger this gem. Being slowed in battlegrounds is one of the worst things, and it can create opportunities to get away or engage for you as well. Next one is a must-have for most of the players. Of course, I'm talking about Mother's Lament. At rank 10, when you deal damage, you have a 20% chance of gaining Maternal Disdain, increasing your critical hit chance by 32% for 6 seconds. And if I'm not mistaken, you can increase the duration of this buff with beneficial effect bonuses. I think this gem doesn't require too much explanation. It gives us critical hit chance, which is the most important stat to deal more damage. In Battlegrounds, it gives you around 10% critical hit chance because of the Strife debuff, but it is still a lot. You guys were asking about Viper's Bite in the top 5 PvE gems video, and it wasn't on that list, but we have it in here. We already talked a lot about this gem, and it is basically cheaper and better version of Seeping Bile, so if you are playing with damage over time builds, this is a must-have. I mean, you don't even have to play with damage over time builds. This gem is a really good option for any class and build. Next on the list is Pain Clasp. This is one of the best gems you can get in Diablo Immortal, including 5-star gems as well. This gem increases your damage done to enemies suffering from a continuous damage effect. And this is a very easy effect to apply to your target, so you will get this benefit almost all the time. Plus, it increases your movement speed if there is an enemy suffering from continuous damage within 10 yards. Next, we have Fervent Fang. At rank 10. Each time you deal damage to an enemy, that enemy now takes 2.40% increased damage from your attacks, up to a maximum increase of 24% at 10 stacks. With most of the PvP builds we use, reaching 10 stacks is pretty easy, so you can consider this gem similar to Berserker's Eye. That's why I include it to this list, but I don't recommend using it with melee classes that much. It is more suited for range classes. Next, we have Bloody Reach. This gem is only effective if you are playing a ranged class or as a necromancer. I really enjoy using this gem because we always have to keep our distance between enemies in battlegrounds anyways. At rank 10, increases all damage you deal by 6% for every 2 yards between you and the enemy hit, up to a maximum of 24% at 8 yards. In addition, your attacks have a 1.2% chance to decrease enemy movement speed by 35% for 3 seconds. Like I said, this is a really strong gem, but it's only good for ranged classes. Lastly, we can add Power and Command to this list as well, even though I don't like it that much. Since it only buffs your skills or primary attacks in a given time, sometimes it gets wasted. But each time Power and Command states alternate, you have a 30% chance to dispel a harmful effect from yourself, which can be helpful especially when you think about the current state of battlegrounds. Like I said, I don't really like and use this gem, but if you already have it, you can keep it. And that's all the 2-star legendary gems I'm going to recommend for PvP. I don't like using defensive gems because I think they don't help that much. That's why we don't have gems like Battle Guard or Unity Crystal on the list. Let me know which 2-star legendary gems are your favorite to use in Battlegrounds in the comments. Thanks for listening and take care.